These mowers have seen better days. But today, they're going to get some work done. First I'm going to get this one ready to go. This is what I'm taking to HyperFest, and if you guys are familiar with HyperFest, it's awesome. If you've ever been there, last year you might have seen me, or 2 years ago you might have seen me with this mower. And this mower is freaking awesome, let me tell you, man. This gets more attention than any of those expensive cars, and the girls freaking love it. But yeah, it needs some love today, that's for sure. So we're going to get this thing going. One other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to swap in a spare transmission I have that is open diff instead of the locked rear end. Reason being, when I got people on the bench in the back, I can't turn unless I got someone sitting on the hood. The last time I did that, I busted the hood. So we're putting an open diff in there just for HyperFest, and that way it'll actually be able to drive with people on the back and turn. This one is sort of my spare one. It's not for parts, but it's for, you know, my friends when they come over and want to romp with me. So it's not quite as built as my main one there, but it needs some love too. My buddy Gannon, you may have seen him flip this thing over or crash it into a pole or other things, and Seth also rolled this thing there. So this thing gets beat up pretty good. The hood's real bent, it's not mounted correctly. This one's got the worst tire because I always put the best ones on here. But we're going to be working on this one a little bit too, and it needs one of the plastic pulleys, the idler pulleys for the trans. The lip on the edge wore off, so now the belt comes off if you ever press the clutch. So little things, and hopefully we'll get it all working well. This mower needs the bench to be rebuilt, and while I'm doing all this work, I'm going to show you guys some interesting things about these mowers. Some of the things I did to make them work really well off-road. Some things I did to make them more durable. Some things I did to make them more fun, and some things that you guys would be interested in seeing that you might not have ever noticed before. No matter how long this baby sits, it always starts up. Let's see if today is the same. Oh yeah! Gotta love it. It smokes a little bit, but you've seen how high I rev this thing, so I'm not too surprised. Sweet. Alright, well, I'm going to show you how I built this bench here. I'm also going to tell you some things that you should probably do that I didn't do. This bench, I've had it on here for about probably 3 years. I did this the summer after I graduated from high school, and this is the summer after my 3rd year of college. So yeah, I've had it for 3 years, and it's held up pretty well. I mean, I really shouldn't say that, look at it, but considering it lasted that long and the way I've treated it, it's actually alright. One thing I would say is I used regular 2x4s. I would use, if I was doing it again, pressure treated wood. Don't use just regular 2x4s. I mean, yeah, they're cheap, and if you only wanted to last 4 years, then you're fine. But pressure treated wood probably wouldn't rot and get as weak as this. Another thing I would do is I'd reinforce it with more lag bolts. You see, I only got one lag bolt that holds it between here and here, and that busted off. It kind of looks like it got rusty and just broke off. And that takes a good amount of force, because that's all the weight that goes down on this bar goes through that lag bolt, so you might want to put more than one there. And I used deck board for the top, which works good, but I only used drywall screws to hold it down to the 2x4s here, so those all pulled out. So I'd use lag bolts, and I might use 4 instead of just 3. So yeah, but I mean, the structure of it is fine. It looks like it's all the problems I've had are due to me just not securing it well enough with the fasteners. All this damage happened within the last year, but for the first 2 years that I've used this thing, it worked great. So it also acts as a wheelie bar. So if you ever get a little bit too wampus, it won't flip over backwards on you as easily. It's really great for a recovery point. I mean, I had these handles on here, and they were real good for pulling on. It's also kind of cool. Sometimes you get into a situation you want to get off the seat and stand somewhere else to get more traction. You can stand on here and still reach the steering wheel. Plus, it's awesome for carrying people. Girls freaking love it at HyperFest, and yeah, it worked out pretty well for me. So anyway, that's another story. That's the bench, though, and today I'm going to be reinforcing that with some some lag bolts and whatever. Alright, $9.28 later, I got some lag bolts and some washers. I accidentally grabbed this little runt one over here. I didn't really mean to, but whatever. The shorter ones here are for the deck plate into the top bar, and these ones are for anywhere that two 2x4s are being bolted together. So, and yeah, got some washers. So let's put it back together. Alright, look what we got here. We got some nice strong lag bolts holding everything together. Sweet, now let's install this deck plate on top. It on there better than it was before, and yeah, it definitely is. Pick up the whole mower with this, no problem. So yeah, sweet. Differential. So when I rotate one wheel, the other wheel rotates the same way. See that? Which is great for off-road, but obviously it hinders your turning ability a little bit. And for HyperFest, when I have so much weight on the back with people being carried, it sucks not being able to turn. So especially because there's no weight on the front wheels, which makes it even worse. So today we're going to be swapping this out. This transmission, I have an open diff one here, and we're going to be putting the open diff one in. This open one here used to be welded. I swapped out some parts, but you can see some JB weld there, some JB weld there, and a big dent because this thing was cracked on some rocks. And the same thing happened to this one. Not enough to puncture the case, but you can see a lot of these little ribs here are broken off. But you can see there's some nice gouges in this case here. So yeah, this one's been beat up too. All my stuff has. Alright, well, let's see if I can get this heavy thing back in there by myself. I think I need to rotate this 90 degrees. I think I put it on wrong, so I'll do that and then I'll swap it in. Alrighty, I'll put this in here to better demonstrate, but let's see here, when we rotate this tire, the other one rotates the opposite way. I'll rotate it this way, it's still, yeah, so now we got an open diff, it's all swapped in. I believe I'm going to have to adjust the clutch again for the slightly different pulleys. They're the same diameter really, but the groove is a little bit wider on this one, which means the belt drops down a little bit more, so really it's not the same diameter. So I got to mess with that, but we should be able to test this out here pretty soon. Alright, so I got the mower on its side here, and while it's on its side I figured it would be a good time to show you the underneath of this thing. So I have a totally custom clutch setup. You see we got a 6.5 pulley up front on the motor, and going back towards the back there's a 6 on the rear, and this is with the belt as tight as it gets right now, so obviously we got to adjust that. And then I built this totally custom clutch setup here. So basically it's a couple pieces of 1-inch square tube. This one's connected to the pedal, so I'll pull the pedal here. It pulls on that rod there and loosens up the belt. And when you let go of the pedal, it tightens back up. I need to adjust it. Had this idler pulley here, and in all my past videos where the motor was making that horrible transmission whine, it's actually this idler pulley right here. I replaced it and it was quiet again. So never actually had a transmission whine. Got a giant ass spring there to tension the belt, and I tried to make the bottom of this as smooth as possible. So the lowest point here is this crossbar that's sort of a support for the pivot point here, which is a 3/8 rod. Pivots on there and there. As far as things that break on this the most, I bend these tie rods a lot, but never have an issue with breaking anything. I do break a steering pinion gear every once in a while, but it never causes a problem with driving. Just kind of makes the steering off a little bit. But yeah, basically hitting trees and stuff bends the shit out of these. But I still love this setup way more than any Craftsman setup or any of the ones where you have one arm going to one wheel and the one that goes between the two, because those setups are just, they're not strong at all and they bend easy. Here's how I lifted it. You can see, you know how they normally articulate on this little round hole here. Well, that round point used to be right about here on the axle here. I ground that flat, moved it down, and just welded it right across there and across there and on the front where you can't see right now. And it's held up really well. Haven't had any issues. I might reinforce it between here and here, kind of like triangulate this right here. Just because backing into stuff, this is just barely starting to bow out a little bit, so probably going to reinforce it with just a piece of angle iron or square tube or whatever I have really between here and here. But yeah, this frame has held up great to a horrible amount of abuse. I had problems with transmission mounts ripping out, so I reinforced it. I put another mount here. There's the stock one there, and I plan to put another one from here to the frame. Flexing so much, twisting the frame, it kind of rips the aluminum threads out of the case. So if I put 3 of them on there, it should be better than the stock one, and should hold up fine. Alright, so to adjust the clutch, I just need to disconnect the linkage there, screw this piece in or out, and then it gets nice and tight. So now let's test her out. Alrighty, let's see what we can do here. Alrighty, see if it starts after being on the side. Alrighty, look at this thing turn. Oh, that is amazing. Not even scrubbing tires. I love it. Oh man, this thing turns so amazingly. Alright, well let's go for a little speed run. Man, that's fast. Just kidding. Brakes seem to work, and that's even with that stock 2-inch little disc. Yeah, I'd say job well done there. Damn near blew it up, revving it up that high though. I love this motor. It's freaking awesome. So you can see here the body is ripping off the frame. There's the bolt hole where the old bolt used to go, but you know how those bolts are, they just screw into the sheet metal of the frame, so I'm going to put a bolt and a nut there and hopefully it'll actually hold together. Let's see what we can do. You can always tell what parts are newest because they're all shiny, but now we're mounted real strong, so that's good. I'm glad I fixed that because it made the clutch feel really weird when driving, especially when you're flexing over obstacles and whatever, because the pedal is mounted to the frame, but your feet are on the floor, so you know they kind of move in relation to each other, and the clutch felt really weird. But now I shouldn't have that problem anymore. What have I done? It's Mickey Mouse. Oh man! And I've also got push button start and an auxiliary switch for the lights, which only works when the key is on. Sweet. Super bright. And the push button start only works with the key on, so people can't steal it or run my batteries down. Sweet. Yep, I rewired the whole mower. So, ignition on. Oh, that sounded nasty. Wonder what I did wrong. Must have installed this cover incorrectly. Not really sure. Well, I'm gonna pull this cover off and see what's happening in there. That sounds horrible. Well, I fixed it. It was one of those metal tabs that was on the wrong side of the shroud there, the fan shroud, so put it on the right side, now it fits, or it works fine. Alright, let's take the spare trans down to the and put it behind the shed. It turns on a dime now. It's amazing. It sucks off road, but looks good here. Anybody wants some Civic SI parts, or some pickup fenders, or a Murray hood, or some flat tires, I got all of them. Yep, she's sweet though. Oh yeah, frickin' Mickey Mouse. Oh, this is gonna be cool. I can't wait to do a night romp.